Effort without faith is like planting seeds in barren soil. You can dig the ground, scatter the seeds, and water them day after day, yet nothing will grow because the life-giving power is missing. Many people today live this way, working tirelessly, chasing opportunity after opportunity, and exhausting themselves, only to feel as if life is slipping through their fingers. They hustle harder, thinking that if they just push a little more, sacrifice a little longer, or grind a little faster, their breakthrough will come. But I tell you this, no amount of human effort can accomplish what faith can do in a moment. You can work yourself into the ground, yet without faith, all your striving will feel like a door that never opens. We live in a world that glorifies effort, that praises those who never rest, that tells you to wake up earlier, stay up later, and do more. Yet, how many people who follow that path still feel stuck, broke, or spiritually empty? That is because they are fighting battles in the natural world without tapping into the spiritual law that governs everything. They believe that life is a game of sheer willpower, but they have forgotten that willpower without alignment is powerless. True power comes not from frantic action, but from faith. Faith in divine supply, faith in spiritual law. Faith that what you desire is already yours. You see, there is a spiritual principle that says, "It is done unto you as you believe." Not as you strive, not as you struggle, but as you believe. Life is not moved by desperation, it is moved by certainty. The reason faith works faster than effort is because faith aligns you with the infinite intelligence of God. Faith speaks directly to the unseen forces of the universe and commands them to respond. When you live by faith, you are no longer begging for your blessings. You are claiming what is already yours by divine right. Effort alone can be exhausting, like trying to row a boat against the current. Faith is like raising your sail and allowing the wind of spirit to carry you swiftly to your destination. When you have faith, life becomes a flow instead of a fight. Suddenly, opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to appear. Doors that were closed swing open effortlessly. People and resources show up at the perfect time. This is not coincidence. It is law. Faith is the spiritual law that makes miracles look natural. So why are so many still trapped in the cycle of endless effort? Because they believe that control comes from their own hands, that success depends on their own strength. They think the harder they push, the faster they will get ahead. But I tell you, the opposite is true. The moment you release fear and lean into faith, you will accomplish more in a day than years of toil could produce. The world teaches that sweat is the currency of success. Heaven teaches that belief is the currency of miracles. I want you to stop and think about your life right now. Where are you striving, pushing, and exhausting yourself? Where do you feel resistance? That is the very area where faith must replace force. Speak life over that situation. Declare, "I now stand in perfect alignment with divine law. All that is mine by divine right now comes to me quickly, easily, and under grace." Say it with conviction, and watch the energy around you shift. Faith is not passive, it is power in action. This is why faith works faster than effort. Because faith calls upon the infinite, while effort relies only on the finite. If you are ready to stop striving and start flowing, if you are ready to see your desires manifest with speed and grace, stay with me. What you are about to learn will change how you see work, success, and miracles forever. Faith is not a wish. Faith is not a fragile hope whispered into the night. Faith is your spiritual currency, the wealth of heaven placed in your hands to create the life you desire. Most people do not understand this. They treat faith like a lottery ticket, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they will be chosen for a miracle. But faith is not chance, faith is law. Just as surely as 2 + 2 = 4, faith spoken with conviction will always create results. When I say faith is your currency, I mean it is the power you spend in the spiritual realm to draw forth what you desire into the physical realm. It is the divine transaction that makes the unseen seen. The universe does not respond to panic. It does not rush to rescue those who vibrate with fear and desperation, no matter how loudly they cry. Spirit does not answer chaos, it answers certainty. Think of a radio. If you want to hear music, you must tune the dial to the right frequency. Screaming at the radio will not bring in the station you want. Only alignment will. In the same way, if your soul is vibrating at fear, you cannot receive abundance, because fear is not the frequency of supply. Faith is the frequency of manifestation. Faith is the tone that calls forth miracles, like a magnet pulling metal. Many people are working hard, praying hard, but still missing this truth. They pray as if God is far away, as if He might withhold blessings, unless they prove themselves worthy through suffering. That is not faith. That is fear disguised as devotion. True faith is bold. True faith says, I am a child of the Most High, and all that is mine by divine right comes to me now. True faith does not beg, it declares. It knows. It stands unmoved when storms rage, because it understands that spiritual law is not swayed by appearances. Let me tell you something that will change your life. The world you see around you is not as solid as you think. Every building, every road, every fortune, every success was once only an idea in someone's mind. Faith is what took that idea from the unseen and gave it form. Faith is the creative force behind everything you admire. The clothes you wear, the home you live in, the car you drive, all of it was once invisible, and faith brought it forth. If this law works for others, it will work for you. Spirit is no respecter of persons. The law responds not to who you are, but to what you believe. Some of you are rich in effort, but bankrupt in faith. You work tirelessly, but you have not invested in belief. Your mind rehearses failure, while your hands labor for success. That is why the results come slowly. Your effort may be good seed, but your faith is the fertile soil. Without the soil, the seed cannot grow. Your words are the water. Your gratitude is the sunlight. When these are in harmony, life blooms quickly, beautifully, and abundantly. You must begin to see your faith as a spiritual bank account. Every thought of certainty is a deposit. Every word spoken in fear is a withdrawal. Speak life, and your account overflows. Declare abundance, and heaven responds. The universe cannot deny faith, because faith is alignment with divine mind. You are not trying to convince God to bless you. God has already said yes. Faith is simply tuning your heart to hear that yes and receive what has been waiting for you all along. Once you truly understand that faith is currency, you will stop living like a beggar and start living like an heir. You will walk into every situation knowing that the wealth of heaven is backing you. The moment you believe this, Miracles stop being rare events and become your daily reality. This is why I say to you now, stop spending fear. Stop spending worry. Start spending faith. Invest in the unseen, and you will see the evidence manifest so quickly it will take your breath away. Faith is not optional. It is the key to everything. Effort has its place. It is good to work, to be diligent, to use your talents and hands to create. But hear me when I say this: effort alone is limited. You can push your body to exhaustion, labor day and night, and still feel as if nothing is moving. Why? Because physical effort moves your hands, but faith moves the universe. The unseen power of faith can do in a moment what years of struggle cannot accomplish. When you learn this truth, life changes. Suddenly, you are no longer a prisoner of endless striving. You become a master of spiritual alignment. There is a heaviness that comes from working without faith. It feels like climbing a mountain with no summit in sight. Many people are trapped in this cycle, thinking that if they just work harder, God will finally notice their sacrifice. But God does not need your suffering to bless you. Spirit responds to your belief, not your burnout. Labor without faith is like rowing a boat with broken oars. You are expending energy, but you are not getting anywhere. Faith is the wind that fills your sail. Faith is what turns your small efforts into supernatural results. Think of the farmer. He tills the ground, plants the seed, and waters the soil. But he does not force the seed to grow. He trusts that the sun will shine, the rain will fall, and the invisible life within, that seed will break through the earth in its perfect timing. His hands do the work, but it is faith that makes him patient. He knows that no amount of effort can rush the harvest, but his belief ensures that it comes. In the same way, your faith is the invisible life, force behind every action you take. Without it, your effort feels empty. With it, your effort becomes powerful. I once spoke with a man who had been working 3 jobs, exhausted and bitter, trying to pay off his debts. He said to me, "Mrs. Shinn, I don't understand. I am working harder than ever, but I feel like I'm sinking deeper." I told him, "You are leaning on your own strength and leaving God out of your affairs. You are relying only on your hands, but your faith is idle. You must call forth what is yours by divine right." I gave him affirmations to speak daily. I am fully supplied with everything I need, here and now. Divine supply is my inheritance. He began to repeat these words, and something shifted. Within a few weeks, unexpected opportunities came, debts were forgiven, and his financial situation changed. Not because he worked harder, but because faith opened a door effort could not unlock. When you rely only on your effort, life feels like an uphill battle. But when you partner with faith, life begins to carry you. Faith breaks barriers that physical effort cannot even touch. Faith reaches into places your hands will never go. Faith rearranges circumstances, softens hearts, and makes a way where there is none. Your job is to show up and do your part. Yes, but to do it anchored in the unshakable, knowing that Spirit is working behind the scenes. Many are weary today, not because they are doing too much, but because they are doing it without faith. Faith is the oil that keeps the wheels of life turning smoothly. Without it, every step feels like dragging a heavy load. But when faith is alive, even hard work feels light, because you know you are not working alone. You are moving with the current of divine power. I urge you to pause and ask yourself, am I working harder, or am I believing stronger? The truth is, faith is not meant to replace action. It is meant to supercharge it. Faith turns ordinary steps into extraordinary results. The person who works without faith may reach their goal eventually, but the one who walks in faith sees doors open effortlessly, resources flow easily, and miracles manifest daily. This is why I say with all certainty effort has its limits, but faith knows no barriers. Faith is infinite. Faith is your bridge from the seen to the unseen, and once you embrace it, life will no longer feel like a burden. It will feel like a blessing unfolding. Let me tell you a story that will open your heart to the power of faith. Years ago, a woman came to me in utter despair. She was buried in debt, weighed down by fear, and exhausted from working long hours just to stay afloat. Her eyes were tired, and her voice trembled as she said, "Mrs. Shinn, I've done everything I can. I've cut expenses. I've begged my creditors for more time. I've taken every extra job I can find, but it feels like I'm drowning. What else can I possibly do?" I looked at her and said gently, "You have done everything, but the most important thing, you have not turned your debt over to God." She blinked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" she asked. I said, "You are trying to carry the whole burden yourself. You believe that your hands, your effort, and your struggle are the only ways to solve this. But what you are facing is bigger than you, and it requires something greater than you. It requires faith. Divine law is not moved by fear, but it is activated by your belief." She stared at me with tears in her eyes, and I knew she was ready to try a new way. So I gave her an affirmation. There is no debt in divine mind. What God has for me now comes to me with speed and ease under grace. My supply is endless, inexhaustible, and immediate. I told her to repeat these words daily, to speak them as if they were already true, and most importantly, to release her fear and start expecting unexpected good. At first, she struggled. Her mind would whisper, "This is silly. Words can't erase bills." But she kept repeating the affirmation anyway. She wrote it on slips of paper and placed them around her house. She said it while she worked. She said it while she cooked dinner. She said it when she felt panic rise in her chest, and something miraculous began to happen. She noticed a shift in her spirit. She began to feel peace instead of fear. She began to expect help instead of despairing. She was aligning herself with divine law, and divine law always responds. One morning, she called me in shock. "You won't believe what happened," she said. "A distant relative I hadn't spoken to in years passed away and left me a small inheritance. It's not just enough to pay my bills. It's enough to clear all my debt and start fresh." Tears of gratitude filled her voice. "Mrs. Shinn, I thought I'd be trapped forever, but this came out of nowhere." I smiled and said, "It didn't come out of nowhere. It came from the invisible supply that is always there, waiting for your faith to call it forth." This woman had worked herself to exhaustion, but nothing changed until she changed her belief. The moment she aligned her words and her thoughts with God's abundance, the universe rearranged circumstances in her favor. That is the power of faith. Friends, this story is not rare. It is a picture of what happens when you trust God more than your fear. You see, your situation may look hopeless, But faith does not rely on appearances. Faith sees beyond the bills, the reports, and the empty accounts. Faith sees the overflowing storehouses of divine mind and claims them as reality. When you speak faith, the Spirit begins to move people, events, and resources to meet your needs in ways you could never plan. That is why faith works faster than effort. This woman didn't receive a miracle because she begged harder. She received it because she believed stronger. And so can you. Release your panic, speak your truth, and expect the unexpected. Heaven is not slow, but it will not override your disbelief. The moment you align with faith, doors will open so swiftly, you will know it was God Himself who moved on your behalf. Many people live their lives as if they are at the mercy of chance. They say, if I'm lucky, things will work out. Or, maybe one day my break will come. But I tell you today, your life is not a gamble. You are not at the mercy of luck. You are governed by law, spiritual law, divine law, the law that says, it is done unto you as you believe. This is not poetry, this is a principle that works as reliably as gravity. You cannot see gravity, but you trust it every time your feet touch the ground. In the same way, faith is invisible, yet it pulls into your life exactly what you believe, like a magnet drawing iron. Once you understand this, you will stop living like a victim of random chance. There are no accidents in spirit. There is alignment, there is timing, there is belief. Faith is not hoping God might notice you. It is knowing God has already supplied everything you could ever need. What you see as a miracle is often just spiritual law working perfectly because you finally aligned with it. That is why some people seem to get lucky. Often, it is not luck at all, but their belief creating an open door. Faith is the blueprint of your reality. Whatever you build in your heart and speak with conviction will eventually show up in your life. If your belief is small, your results are small. If your belief is bold, your blessings are bold. Life is not withholding from you. It is reflecting you. That is why you must choose your words carefully. Every complaint, every fear, every "I can't" is a seed planted in your future, and every affirmation of faith is also a seed, one that grows faster and stronger, because spirit moves on belief. I once counseled a man who had been searching for work for months. He came to me feeling defeated. "Mrs. Shinn," he said, "I've applied to every job I can find. I've done everything I know how to do, but it feels like no one sees me." I told him, "It is not that no one sees you. It is that you do not see yourself as already employed. You are sending out a vibration of desperation instead of certainty." I taught him to affirm, "The perfect position is already mine. I see myself in it, I walk in it, I give thanks for it now." Within 2 weeks, he received an offer for a position far better than anything he had applied for. That was not luck. That was faith. Faith is like electricity. It is always present, but you must flip the switch to see its power. You cannot say, "I'll believe it when I see it," because that is not faith, that is doubt. Faith says, "I believe it, so I will see it." The moment you shift your belief, your reality begins to bend toward it. You may not see results overnight, but the law is already working, rearranging everything in your favor. This is why I urge you, stop gambling with life as if blessings are a rare prize you must earn. You are not begging God to bless you, You are learning to believe so deeply that His blessings have no choice but to appear. Faith is not superstition. It is spiritual science. It works every time, for every person who dares to believe. You are holding the magnet that draws every good thing you desire. Strengthen your belief, and you will see that nothing is impossible. Now that you understand faith is not a gamble but a law, let me show you how to use this law to change your life. Because spiritual truth is not meant to be admired. It is meant to be applied. If you do not put this law into action, it will remain only words. And I want you to see proof. I want you to see results. I want you to see your desires manifest so clearly that you never again doubt the power of faith. The first step is this: speak what you desire as if it is already yours. Stop describing life as it is, and start declaring life as it will be. Words are not just sounds. They are seeds. Every time you speak, you are planting something in your future. So many people curse their own lives without realizing it, saying things like, "I can't afford this," or "I'm always unlucky," or "Nothing ever works for me." And then they are surprised when their words come true. You must reverse that pattern. You must speak faith. If you want wealth, begin saying, "I am divinely prospered. Money flows to me easily, abundantly, and under grace." If you want health, declare, "I am whole, strong, and radiant with the life of God." If you want love, speak, "I am surrounded by love, and the perfect relationships are drawn to me now." Speak these things with certainty, because your words are the blueprint for your reality. The second step is stop striving and start declaring. Most people exhaust themselves trying to figure out every detail of how their desires will come. They plan, they overthink, they worry, and they call it preparation. But it is fear wearing the mask of responsibility. Spiritual law does not require you to figure out how. It only requires you to believe that it is done. Your job is not to push doors open by force, but to declare them open with faith. Every morning, stand up and declare, "Every door that belongs to me is open now. Every opportunity that is mine comes with speed and ease. I walk in favor and abundance today." When you declare with conviction, you set powerful forces into motion. The third step is to use affirmations to reprogram your mind. The mind is like a garden. If you do not plant it with truth, weeds of fear and doubt will take over. An affirmation is a spiritual command, a decree from the throne of your spirit. One of my favorite affirmations, which I have seen change countless lives, is this: "All that is mine by divine right now comes to me quickly, easily, and under grace in perfect ways." Say it daily. Say it with faith, and watch as unexpected blessings begin to appear. This affirmation is not a request, it is a declaration. It is you aligning your heart with God's perfect plan. Here is something you must understand: faith is not passive. Faith is not sitting quietly, hoping something good will happen. Faith is bold. Faith speaks. Faith acts as if the promise is already fulfilled. When you pray, pray with thanksgiving, not desperation. When you affirm, speak with authority, not hesitation. You are not a beggar before God. You are His child, and His riches are your inheritance. If you will take these steps daily, speak as if it is done, declare instead of striving, and fill your mind with affirmations, you will begin to see your world shift. Doors will open without effort. People will show up at the right time. Opportunities will chase you instead of you chasing them. This is not coincidence. This is law. Once you activate your faith, life begins to work for you instead of against you. So I challenge you, for the next 7 days, speak only words of faith over your life. Declare boldly. Affirm without fear. Act as if your prayers are already answered. In 7 days, you will see a difference. And in time, you will look back and realize that faith has carried you further than effort ever could. This is how you activate the law of faith. It is not complicated, but it is powerful. Are you trusting your own strength, or are you allowing Spirit to move through you? This is the question that determines whether your life will feel like a constant uphill struggle or a miraculous flow. Many of you listening today have been carrying burdens far too heavy for human shoulders. You are tired, you are striving, and yet the breakthrough feels distant. My dear friend, Spirit never intended for you to live this way. You are not meant to fight for your blessings. You are meant to receive them. Faith is the bridge from where you are to where God has already prepared for you to be. Let this message sink deep. Your effort is not the problem, but your reliance on effort alone is. Yes, work diligently. Yes, use wisdom and take action. But never forget that your strength is limited, while Spirit's strength is infinite. You cannot outwork fear. You must outfaith it. You cannot outplan lack. You must outbelieve it. The law of life is not, "It is done unto you as you try harder." It is done unto you as you believe. If you truly believed that everything you need is already waiting for you, would you still panic? Would you still rush, worry, and exhaust yourself? Or would you begin to rest in the knowing that Spirit has gone before you to prepare your way? This is the shift that changes everything. The moment you stop striving and start trusting, your entire energy changes. Opportunities notice you, favor finds you, miracles feel normal. Faith opens doors that human effort could knock on for years without an answer. And that is why I am challenging you right now. Release the struggle. Lay down the constant fear. Say these words with me. I no longer live by fear and striving. I live by faith, and I trust Spirit to make a way. Say it until it becomes your truth, until your heart knows it is done. I have seen lives transformed overnight by this simple decision to trust God fully. I have seen debts erased, sickness vanish, relationships restored, and opportunities multiply, not because people worked themselves into exhaustion, but because they aligned themselves with the law of faith. What you are facing right now may seem impossible. The bills may be piling up. The job may seem out of reach. The healing may feel delayed. But faith is not shaken by appearances. Faith knows that Spirit is always working, even when you cannot see it. Your job is to believe, to speak life, and to walk as if it is already done. If you take nothing else from this message, take this: your life will always rise or fall to the level of your faith. Faith is not weakness. Faith is strength. It takes courage to trust God more than your circumstances. It takes boldness to declare abundance when your bank account is empty, to speak health when the doctor's report is grim, to walk forward when the road is unclear. But this is the courage that shifts mountains. This is the courage that makes miracles your reality. So today, I invite you to step out of fear and into faith. Stop waiting for life to get easier before you believe. Believe now and watch life get easier. Trust now and watch the doors open. The Spirit of God is not slow, and it is not withholding. It is waiting for your yes, your faith, your declaration. Decide today to trust Him completely, and your life will become a testimony of what faith can do. From this day forward, refuse to live by striving. Begin to live by trust. Speak boldly, walk fearlessly, and expect the impossible. Your miracle is closer than you think, and faith is the key that will unlock it. Let this be your new normal, a life so full of faith that blessings have no choice but to find you.